Hello, everyone. This is Paul Feldman, Insurance Newsnet, and I am here today with Royal Neighbors President CEO Zarifa Brown Reynolds. Zarifa, you have an amazing resume. It goes from Brown University to Harvard. I was impressed. How did you end up in this industry?
Yes, I mean, people could look at the resume and think it's amazing. I just think of it as my life journey. And I've always wanted to help people, even from when I was young. And so every choice that I've made in terms of what I studied in college and going to law school, because I thought law was the way to helping people, to ultimately pivoting to the insurance industry. And now as CEO and president of Rural Neighbors is really just about helping people. And that's what Rural Neighbors was founded to do. And that's the value that we live every day. We really exist to insure lives, support women, and serve communities through our products and services, and through our many philanthropic efforts that we engage in the community.
So tell us a little bit about Royal Neighbors as a company and why it's different. It's a fraternal organization, and I know a lot of people know what that is, but sometimes we all need to get a reminder.
Yes. So in life insurance, you could either have like a company that's owned by stockholders, or you could have a mutual insurance company. And a fraternal insurance company is a subset of a mutual insurance company. And it means that the company is owned by members and not by common stockholders. That's really the difference. When you want to differentiate a mutual insurance company from a fraternal, and a fraternal means that there's a common bond, which means that the people who buy the insurance products and services of a company like Rural Neighbors, they really believe in our mission, right? We exist to insure lives, support women, and serve communities. So a lot of our insurance proceeds are directed toward programming around this mission of empowering communities and women. And we do this in a number of ways, but most notably, we have a scholarship program that we've been administering for a very long time, where if you're a member of Rural Neighbors, we will give you scholarships for all 4 years of college. You just need to apply through the process. We also have what's called Nation of Neighbors. And so we give historically $10,000 grants to nonprofits that are serving communities and focusing on women throughout their service in the communities. And we've been doing that for a very long time. Last but not least, and this is where the bulk of our social good comes in, is we're a national life insurance company. So when you're a member of Rural Neighbors, you can either have an insurance product, or you can also be a member through service. And you are a part of what's called a chapter system. And we have chapters throughout the United States, more than 200 of them. And we're funding each of these chapters as they're doing good works in the community. So for instance, like my son, he wanted to help with food insecurity in our neighborhood because, he's somewhat fortunate and he sees how a lot of people are struggling. So he founded a Rural Neighbors chapter, and they distribute like healthy food products supported by Rural Neighbors. I mean, some of it is his own fundraising and his own dollars, but a lot of it is supported by Rural Neighbors. So when you do community good, Rural Neighbors will give you money every month, every quarter, and for special projects to help you engage in that endeavor. And that is our common bond.
That's really cool that your son did that.
Yes, no,
Yeah, pat on the back for a CEO raising a good kid.
well, you try, and you never know if it's going to turn out quite the way that you hope it will until the end. But going back to kind of like, my remit of helping people, I really try to instill that in my children and everybody that I come in contact with, that no matter who you are, you can serve somebody else. And if you lean into service, you feel good about yourself, you feel good about humanity, and you're really kind of making things better for everybody.
So you guys are in, a company that caters to women. Do you cater to men as well?
We do actually. And I should say, more than half of our distribution partners, and we distribute through independent marketing agencies. So we don't have a captive distribution team. We have a third-party distribution team. More than half of our distribution partners are men and do believe in this kind of mission of ensuring lives, supporting women, and serving communities. And then the others, call it 1/3, are female producers. And then as far as our members themselves, we're about 50-50, or maybe like 45-55. So we really do
Wow.
service everybody. with our insurance products. And when you empower women in communities, you're also supporting men, right? Because every man is born of a mother, sister, wife, right? Cousin. And again, like even in our chapter system, right? My son is not a female, and he's doing all of this work. I mean, my husband helps him as well. So even though our remit is around serving communities and supporting women, we're empowered by everybody in society, including men, both in
Yeah,
terms of
and I, just from like where, in the catbird seat, I wonder that men are like afraid to like look at your organization because they think
no.
that you only cater to women, and that's not the case.
That's not the case. Some of our biggest supporters are men who recognize that they want to have an inclusive society, right, where everybody has coverage. Believe it or not, when Royal Neighbors founded, women could get life insurance. And so that's our history,
That's
right? And we're
crazy.
in the
Yeah.
modern day now. So it was founded by women because women couldn't get life insurance. Now they can. And so we support everybody's. On our executive team, and as far as our employees, we have a very diverse employee base. Many members of the E team who make things happen on a daily basis are men, and in various senior roles in the organization. And that's been the case for a very long time. So we lead into our history. We're proud of it, but we recognize that we're here to help everybody.
All right, so I'm going to ask you this question. You kind of in a roundabout way did, but specifically, how did you what was it that got you in the insurance industry? Because those are my favorite stories.
Sure. Some of it's a little bit of luck. So I went to law school in the Cambridge, Massachusetts, and I happened to go to an alumni event. And I heard former president and CEO of TIA Craft, Roger Ferguson, speak. And I hadn't really thought a lot about insurance up until this point. And I was probably 10 years into my legal career, a very junior partner. And I was just amazed by his presentation around what he said and what he did. And then, as luck would have it, one of the next deals that I worked on subsequently to that was for TIA. So I was a lawyer working at a large international law firm, and my client was TIA. So I was like, that guy was so fascinating during this presentation at an alumni event, and now he's a client. Maybe there's something there. And as sometimes, it's just that spark and luck, right? Where things
Yeah.
start to come together. So I literally just went to a client. I mean, it's no more fascinating than that. And I knew that I loved sort of helping people in a more real way. And as a corporate finance and M&A lawyer, which is what I was working on important stuff. A lot of it was in the Wall Street Journal, but it wasn't like I didn't get to follow the deal once it closed. And so I still had this inkling that like I want to go up to a place where I can kind of like see things for a longer period of time. And so that really was the reason why I wanted to transition from being a deal lawyer to going into the business. And that's what I did at TIAA and then subsequently at other insurance companies. But it really was kind of a little bit of luck, going to an alumni event, hearing somebody speak who was fascinating, then them being a client of mine fortuitously, that's luck, right? And then going internally to a client. And that's really how it happened.
One thing I think is a missing opportunity in this industry is with men serving the women. And what happens in a lot of cases, if the husband dies first, the advisor agent loses that client. If they're, male because they didn't take care of that. What can we do better as an industry? What can an agent and advisor that's out there today like really start thinking about?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think about longevity risk a lot, and mortality risk a lot, just given where we are. And I'm super excited about the insurance industry because actually people are living longer. But you're right, men tend to pass away before their female spouse or partner. A lot of times families use a lot of the assets in caring for that loved one. And so at the end of the day, the women are left sort of like without as much financial security sometimes. And so I think we have to be very deliberate about how we think about insurance. A lot of times, at least early in life, it says we'll insure the breadwinner. And a lot of times that will be the male in the house. And, you know, we need to have a broader conversation around kind of like, how do we protect the entire family? So we really do support people kind of thinking more equally about how they insure individuals, or maybe you insure two individuals with a survivorship right? So when the wife is still alive and the husband has passed away, you still have the policy. Also, I think as an industry, we could do a better job of educating people and communicating them when a death benefit is paid, around how do you use the proceeds from the death benefit to provide for care for the surviving spouse. One of my favorite riders, and I have one in my own personal life in a life insurance policy, is long-term care. And I think that's especially important for women. I think we all know what happened in the long-term care industry back in the day with standalone policies, which are very expensive now if you can get one at
Yeah.
all. But what people should realize, particularly women, is because they're probably going to be the one to live longer, is that they should have a life insurance product that has a long-term care rider associated with it. Because what typically happens is the woman takes care of the husband, so he's good. And then she's left, and it's like, well, who's going to take care of her? So that's one of the things I think we really need to think, you know, about as well.
So what are you guys doing as far as educating to consumers, to agents, advisors?
So we do a few things. So one is through our chapter system. We provide financial literacy education, and specifically for the younger generations. Most of our chapter growth around people doing good in the community is at colleges, believe it or not.
Wow.
So we're not only like supporting colleges in terms of their ability to do what they want to do in their community, but we're also providing them financial literacy and financial education around saving. And when you're ready, think about getting a life insurance product or an annuity product. And then through our IMO and agents, we have IMO summits where we get together, and it's really like a strategy session, because as I mentioned, like our IMOs are largely third-party distributors. And so we come together. We actually have one coming up this week where we think about, okay, what is the state of the industry? You know, do our products really serve people in the best way? Is there a way that we can be easier to do business with? And then we modify our products in the way we go to market based on those conversations. So we do two things. We do a lot of stuff through the chapter system, and then we do a lot of stuff through with our third-party distributors.
So, what do you see in the marketplace right now? Like where are the opportunities, growth areas that you see?
There are many, but for Royal Neighbors, we kind of lean into what we think we're good at. And this organization, again, it was founded for women, but really we serve people who other people don't tend to serve. And I've worked at other insurance companies where everybody's going after the massive affluent portion of the population. We serve lower middle income and middle income families primarily through our annuity products and through our life products. Our flagship product is a final expense product where we are industry leader in this area. The policy sizes are, you know, $10, $20, $30,000, not huge policies. And the average age of the customer getting these policies is probably in their 50s. So these are people that it took a while for them to accumulate financial security in order to be able to buy a life policy. But we still believe that this portion of society needs the financial protection. Now, because we do this, like we really have a very simple product, and we try to do point of sale delivery, which means when you're talking to an agent, like we should be able to make a decision almost on the spot of what risk class you're going to fall in from an insurance perspective. So given that we're looking at an underserved portion of the population, that's really where we see our greatest strength in order to be able to kind of help people in general.
So you've been at Royal Neighbors for over 2 years now.
That's true.
How do you feel like you've accomplished, and where do you see yourself going with the company?
Yeah, we've done really well. And when I think about Royal Neighbors as not me, right? I view myself as a servant leader and as someone who's there to empower everybody else to be able to you know, do the best that they can for our customers and our relationships that we have. But we've kind of grown gangbusters for Royal Neighbor standards, right? I mean, we're not like the biggest, largest life insurance company, but on the life side, we've grown year over year on the top line sales, more than 50% in our life products each year that I've been there.
Wow.
Yeah, which is,
Wow.
yes. And on the annuity side, it's been between 50 and 100%. So one year we grew over 100%, and then the other years we've grown roughly 50%. So we are in growth mode because we really want to just be able to help more people. There are a lot of people who are underserved because, like I said, we service the lower middle market or the middle market portion of the population. And everybody's a lot of insurance companies are chasing the mass affluent population. We're looking around and we're like, these are all these other people need protection too. Like, what can we do to serve them? And so we think there's a lot of potential out there to continue to grow, and we'll continue to lean into that.
And where do you guys see, in product development, like where do you see you guys making some changes, or where you really exceed today?
Yeah, so like I said, our flagship product is Final Expense. We revamped that product last year and rolled out a new product, which was well received in the marketplace, and that fueled our growth. We're in the process right now of revamping our single premium whole life product, and that's going to be rolled out in Q2 of this year. And our financial plans are projected to have outsized growth in that product as well. Because like I said, we're leaning into ease of doing business, using an e-app, trying to make more point of sale decisions, and really working with our distribution partners to have a really good go-to-market strategy. On the annuity side, I think everybody knows of the growth in the annuity industry over the past, several years. So there's just a lot of opportunity in the marketplace to continue to grow from an annuity perspective. With all this growth, though, I have to talk about capital management as a president of a life insurance company. So we have engaged in a couple of strategic capital management strategies in order to enable us to maintain and sustain our capital, because we're an A-rated insurance company and we're really proud of that, and we want to remain an A-rated insurance company. So before we kind of execute our growth plans, we put capital management strategies in place in order to be able to preserve our capital and our A rating and ensure we're going to be around for people. Namely, we did a structured reinsurance transaction my first year there. And then last year we executed on a commission processing transaction. So both of those transactions helped us to make sure that we have the capital in order to be able to do these to be able to sell this business in the market.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think ease of doing business is like a lost art form in this industry. I mean, I've gone through the underwriting process and I couldn't believe how slow it still is today.
It is still slow. It's getting better, AI and technology is really helping us. I mean, we just embarked on a big e-delivery process where we're delivering our insurance contracts for our Final Expense product using e-delivery. And so we're trying to take, you can't do, Rome wasn't built in a day, right? So we can't fit everything all at once. But we're taking steps methodically to try to, modernize the way we show up and make it easier. And believe it or not, like some of it's basic stuff, like collecting phone numbers, cell phone numbers, and email addresses from our policyholders, from our members. It just makes it so much easier to communicate and cuts down costs and makes you more efficient, and you can get real-time feedback. The other thing we did in our call center is a lot of companies are doing this, leveraging technology, IVR, IVA, to kind of, get easy questions answered. So then our call center or for people to get put in certain queues so you can respond more promptly. So we're doing, those things as well.
So I hear everybody's talking about AI.
Oh.
And I don't know if I think that there are certainly ways that it's going to really change things, but for the most part, a lot of AI is if 1 + 1 = 2.
Yes and no, and I am not a technology expert. You'd have to talk to our chief technology officer to get a real answer. But one of the best meetings I've had so far in 2025 was an AI training meeting that we had internally. We try to be fast followers. We're not going to
Mhm.
be, given our size, kind of, on the forefront of the innovation. But as things start to mature, we do adopt them. So we have, Microsoft Copilot, right? So like it'll take notes at a meeting and synthesize things, and it'll arrange your day, and it'll like, tell you what the most important things are for you to do. And so there are efficiencies, specifically through Microsoft, all the
Yeah.
Microsoft tools that we're leaning into really readily. I do also know that our operations team is working with one of our main reinsurers to think about like how you use technology to, be better at underwriting, do it faster, like, cut out waste. And so those are underway as well.
Yes, making better decisions.
Yes, I mean the potential issue with technology is that, especially when you automate stuff, is you have to have good checkpoints, because if there's a mistake in the coding or then it'll just exponentially get worse. Um, and if you don't find it, then you're like, oh my God, like, it was 3 weeks and like now this ran away with an answer. So that's where we try to be really careful from a governance perspective, which is why we are fast followers. We're not like out there trying to do everything on the forefront. So
Yeah, I like that. Fast followers. I might use that one
yes.
because nobody, you don't want to be on the bleeding edge.
Well, not as rural neighbors. I mean, there's certainly companies who have big R&D budgets and they
Yeah.
can be sort of leading, but for us, we're fast followers.
Yeah, it's kind of scary how fast things can change.
Absolutely.
And it's amazing, in this industry to see how it's grown. I've been in the industry for, I hate to even say it, but 32 years. And what I've seen in
Yeah.
this industry, let alone what happened, I'm third generation in this industry, like
Oh, wow.
what my grandfather saw and how that was, and
Yeah.
doing the debit agent stuff.
Yeah, it's so foundational to our whole like financial infrastructure that I think people just kind of take it for granted. But when you take a step back and you look at what Fortune 100 companies or Fortune 50, even Fortune 20, some of it's life insurance, but some type of insurance, whether it's health or, I mean, insurance is just so foundational for protection that it's important to
Well,
be
I
doing.
think I mean, I don't know that our economy would run without insurance
I don't think so
at
either.
all.
I don't think so either.
I mean, from just our homeowners to our life insurance to our annuities
Absolutely.
to our health insurance.
I agree.
So, I mean, I do love this industry.
I do too. And we get a bad rep sometimes. And certainly like my kids are like, oh, insurance is so boring, it's not sexy. And I'm like, insurance is so sexy. Like I really think insurance is very interesting, right? The outcomes it has for people, the things you can do with the products and the various buckets, like, they call it life insurance for a reason. It's not death insurance. Like if you really needed the assets, depending on the type of policy you have, you could unlock potential through a life insurance contract. And I think that that's what makes our industry so amazing.
So, Zarifa, this was an amazing interview. One of my favorite questions to ask at the end of every one of these interviews, is there a question that I should have asked that I didn't?
Oh, that's interesting. Um, I guess maybe why you're most excited about the future of this industry, what could be a question. I like theoretical things as well as practical things. And one of the theoretical things that I'm starting to spend more time thinking about is longevity. And I think we know it intuitively that people are living longer and healthier lives, but I don't think as a society we really figured out like what that means. And so this is like my father-in-law who's 80 and still like semi-working, right? There's a lot of this going on. So when you think about like a life insurance industry, I'm excited about life insurance because people will be living longer and they're going to need to figure out like how they live their life, how they accumulate assets, if you're looking at an annuity product, how they remain productive members of society, and heaven forbid, if they're living longer and they're unhealthy, how do they fund being taken care of during that time? And so this whole notion of longevity for people, I think, is a reason to be really excited about being in the life insurance industry. Specifically, what I mentioned before about is life insurance and not death insurance. So you can use a life insurance contract to do other things than just paying a death claim, especially with long-term care and other things. It's projected that, we're going to have sort of a barbell society, probably in about 20 or 30 years. Well, there'll be a lot of people over 65 and not that many people under 65. So
Yeah.
like, what does that mean, right? And how do we continue to exist as a society? So this whole notion of longevity risk is something that I'm starting to think a lot more about. And I think that's a reason to be excited to be in the life insurance industry.
Zarifa, this has been a wonderful interview.
Oh, you're very nice. Paul, thank you so much for making this easy for me.
Absolutely. You're wonderful.